Hello, and thank you for joining me. Today, we're returning to Fallout 76 for another legendary crafting video. And today, we're going to be crafting up some railway rifles. Since the latest update, the Tester Metal update, they changed the way that VATS criticals work, and I've noticed that when stealth isn't working, it seems to be doing a little bit less damage on my commandos here. It's not generally that big of a deal, but I have noticed that in some events where stealth doesn't work, such as eviction notice for example, that it's taking me a lot more shots than I like to take enemies down using my traditional handmade, my bloody handmade. So I'm interested in trying out something that hits a little harder, since stealth doesn't really work that well in those situations. It doesn't really matter if it can be suppressed, so I'm looking at the railway rifle. I've actually got a quad explosive one, just 2-star on my other commando, but I need one for both of my commandos, so I'm really looking for a good quad explosive, but we'll also see if there's anything else good that comes up. So let's get this show on the road. We would normally do 10, but I actually have an abundance of legendary modules on this guy, and because of that, we're just going to go ahead and craft up 13 because Super Duper gave me an extra 3, so let's see what we can get here. Okay, so that's not a terrible first roll. We've got an anti-armor with plus 50% VATS hit chance and 15% faster reload. So the anti-armor effect being one of the stronger effects, it's good for both full and low health builds. So definitely a solid first roll. Not what I'm looking for, but the plus 50% VATS hit chance does make it easier to hit the weak points on your target, so that's basically extra damage there. And then the 15% faster reload isn't really doing a whole lot unless you are not running the Speed Demon mutation. It's probably doing a little bit even if you are running it, but not a whole lot. But still, the first 2 stars are pretty solid. Not what I'm looking for, but we got a good start. And after about 6 or 7 of them, if we aren't getting what I'm looking for, then I'll go ahead and hop worlds and we'll continue on crafting that way. But we're currently on my private world that I just booted up, so let's see what the second one gives us. So here we've got a Zealots with bullets exploding for area damage and 25% less VATS AP cost. So it's very unfortunate that this one is not quad. If this was quad on the first star, I would be jumping for joy basically, because this would be exactly what I was looking for. I would actually kind of prefer the 90% reduced weight on the 3rd star, because I don't feel like I really need the 25% less VATS AP cost on the railway rifle, but at the same time I wouldn't complain about it. And the reason I would like the 90% reduced weight a little bit better is because my primary use case for this weapon is to bring out in situations where I want a little bit of extra firepower when stealth is not working for me. So unfortunately that 1st star kind of makes this one a bit of a dud, but let's go on ahead. We've got several more tries here, so let's just do it again. Come on, quad explosive. And here we've got a Stalker's explosive with +1 agility, so I don't know if the game's teasing me or what here, but the Stalker's effect is, in my opinion, the worst of the 1st stars, for at least for ranged weapons in the game at this point, because it doesn't really do exactly what it says. I've definitely had times where I was not in combat when I was testing with it, and I missed a VAT shot, so yeah, it doesn't really do its thing 100% of the time. It does seem to be pretty effective in my testing, but not 100%, and the extra AP cost does seem to apply, so. And the +1 agility wouldn't be bad if this was a quad explosive. I wouldn't be complaining at all, but it's not, so the +1 agility is definitely not enough to make this thing good. So let's go on ahead and try it again here. Okay, this one's kind of interesting. Junkies with plus 50% VATS hit chance and 25% less VATS AP cost. So the 2nd and 3rd star synergize very well. You get some extra damage from the VATS hit chance by targeting the weak points more effectively, and you get more shots in VATS before you run out of AP because of that 3rd star. The Junkies effect is plus 50% extra damage if you have 5 addictions. So it's one of the stronger of the full health build 1st stars. So In my opinion, I feel like Aristocrats is actually a little bit better these days, but Junkies is not bad. And if you're the type of player who regularly uses chems to buff your character, then the Junkies might actually be a little bit better for you because you can cherry pick the addictions for the chems that you actually use a lot. So overall, this one's doing all right. So let's try another one here. And here we've got medics with plus 50% limb damage and 90% reduced weight. So I've seen all of the effects that I want except for quads so far, obviously on different weapons, but medics I don't really find very exciting for this. You could definitely get some use out of it if you wanted to be a support build, but I don't really see where there's a whole lot of need for that at this point in the game. Maybe at some point Bethesda will release some content where, healing your allies becomes a key strategy or something like that. But at this point, it's not really a necessity, so not that exciting. The plus 50% limb damage is just very much not exciting. This thing hits hard enough that it's going to be putting most enemies down very quickly, just a few shots or less, so really it's not really worth worrying about trying to cripple their limbs. Maybe if it's the Scorch Beast Queen or something like that, it might be useful, but overall, not very exciting there. And then the 90% reduced weight is what I'm looking for, but the first 2 stars are not. So let's see here. I think we'll try one more. How many rifles do we have left here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 8 left, it looks like. So let's try one more here, see what we get. And here we've got a Hunters with 25% damage while aiming and faster movement speed while aiming. So the second and the third stars do synergize, although the third star doesn't really do a whole lot for you. It does nothing at all if you have the Speed Demon mutation, and even if you don't, you would really have to be running around the battlefield holding the aim button a whole lot to get much out of it. But the second star is plus 25% damage just for aiming down the sights, so if that's the way you like to play, then that's just basically free damage. Unfortunately, the Hunter's first star is just not terribly exciting. I don't see anyone, definitely not myself, keeping a railway rifle around at 10 pounds unmodified just to deal with animals. So yeah, let's I kind of want to try one more just because we've seen so many explosive railway rifles on this world. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, let's try one more here, and then if we don't get what we're looking for, then we'll hop worlds. So okay, well, this one is actually interesting. It's vampires with 25% faster fire rate and plus 250 damage resistance while reloading. So the vampire's effect is one of my favorite effects, and it's definitely better on automatic weapons than on semi-automatic because it doesn't matter how hard the weapon hits, it's going to heal the same amount of damage per hit. So you're going to get a lot more healing from a fully automatic version or something like a shotgun that has multiple pellets per shot or something like that, as opposed to just, something like a hunting rifle, for example, that's just going to hit really hard with each shot but fire very slowly. So that's a good thing because the railway rifle obviously can be modded out to be fully automatic, and that's what I'm looking to do with it. So that's a good thing. And then the 25% faster fire rate is just a straight up damage per second increase, so that's great. And then the 250 damage resistance while reloading, that's not particularly exciting. It helps a little bit, when you're, especially with something like this that is only going to have 10 rounds in the magazine with faster fire rate on it, you're going to be reloading a whole lot, so getting a little bit of extra damage resistance while you're doing so may help keep you alive. Unfortunately, you will see diminishing returns on the benefit it gives you if you've got 300 to 400 or more damage resistance already, and it does nothing to protect you against energy damage, fire damage, anything like that. So still, this one I'm going to call pretty good because I could actually see some use cases for this, and I might actually feel the need to try this one out. So, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and hop over to another world and see if we have any better luck there. So we will be right back. Alright, here we are back on a public world now, where I am going to go on ahead and craft up the rest of these railway rifles, or, make them legendary, and see what we can get. So, let's see if the RNG gods are good to us. Come on, quad explosive. Well, we got Nocturnal Explosive with +1 agility. Once again, if that was quad on the first star, I would be very happy, but Nocturnal doesn't do a whole lot for me because I am definitely not the type of player to remember to switch weapons based on in-game day and night. So it's really kind of a bust for me, and really for the use case I have for this weapon, even if I was that type of player, I don't know that I would find it that useful, because I want the railway rifle that I keep on hand to be useful anytime I'm in a situation where stealth isn't really working for me, so I can just pull it out and get a little bit of extra damage that way. So the explosive and +1 agility we saw both of those earlier, so that was great. I hope we keep seeing more of those, or at least the explosive, but let's go on ahead and try this again. Come on, quad explosive. Okay, this one's not very good. We've got, I guess it's not utterly terrible, but still not very good. The Gourmand's effect is, I'm really not a fan of that one. It's 24% extra damage if both your hunger and thirst meters are 100% full, but unless you're constantly using perfect bubblegum or being very, very careful to keep yourself fully fed and hydrated all the time, then you are likely to drop a bit on both of those, at least here and there, which is going to decrease your damage bonus, which is unfortunate. So that's really just not exciting. The last round in the magazine having 25% chance to deal double damage, that's like not having a second legendary effect at all. I mean, this is a weapon that only has 10 rounds in its magazine, so you will, especially if you make it automatic the way I intend to, you will fire that last round a lot, even if you typically do like I do and fire between, or reload between encounters. So, you'll probably see some benefit out of it, more so than in a lot of other weapons, but even so, statistically speaking, you would only see this effect 1 out of every 40 shots. That just doesn't feel very good to me. And then the VATS critical meter filling 15% faster is a great thing, especially with the new VATS critical changes, so that's good. That's probably, in my opinion, the best star on this weapon, so kind of a dud. Let's see what else we can get. Come on, quad explosive. Nope, we got Executioners, which isn't too bad, with the last round again, and then having a chance to generate a stealth field. So the Executioner's effect is very strong in the right situation, with the drawback being that it doesn't do virtually anything until the target is below 40% health. But when the target is below 40% health, it is multiplicative damage, so it is an extra 50% of the damage that you see on the damage card, including all of your mods, mods would be taken into account, but including all of your, mods would actually apply that too, perks, chems, mutations, anything you've got that increases your damage. So that's very powerful, but, obviously situational. The last round is, once again, pretty worthless, and then hits having a chance to generate a stealth field. I just don't think that's very useful here, because the whole use case, for me anyway, for the railway rifle is to use it in situations where I'm not going to be using stealth, so that's not really doing a whole lot. So, kind of a dud there. We've got a few more rolls here. I guess we've got 3 more, so let's see. Come on, quad explosive. Nope, not this time. We've got mutants with VATS critical hits doing plus 50% damage and plus 50 damage resistance while aiming. So the mutants effect is not bad. It's an extra 25% damage for most players, because I think most endgame players will have 5 or more mutations by the time you have Speed, Doom, and Marsupial, just for the fun of it. Probably Herbivore or Carnivore, depending on your preference, and then probably 2 or 3 other mutations at least that line up well with your particular build. So it's basically 25% extra damage for nothing. The VATS critical hits doing plus 50% damage is a very strong effect. It's one of my favorite second stars on weapons that I'm going to be using in VATS almost exclusively, and the railway rifle is a weapon that I use in VATS almost exclusively. In fact, the recoil on this weapon is really, really bad, so it's really, really hard to use it outside of VATS. So even if you are an aim down the sights or hip fire type player normally, you might find yourself wanting to use VATS with the railway rifle, at least if you are using a fully automatic version. And then the plus 50 damage resistance while aiming, unfortunately, does not synergize very well with the second star. But it does give you some benefit if you do choose to aim down the sights, but I wouldn't really do a whole lot of that typically with this weapon, again, because of the extremely harsh recoil it has. Not to mention that you're still suffering from the issue of diminishing returns if you've already got solid damage resistance, and the fact that it doesn't provide any energy resistance, fire resistance, poison resistance, nothing like that. So, 2 more tries here, let's see what we get. And we got another Stalkers, oh boy, with plus 50% VATS hit chance and plus 50 damage resistance while aiming. So I've talked about all those effects already here, so we'll just go on ahead and see what we get for our last roll. Come on, give us quad explosive, please. Nope, we came close, but we never actually saw the quad first star today. We saw lots of explosive, which was kind of nice, but no quad. The Medic's Railway Rifle, we talked about that earlier. Replenishing action points with each kill is kind of interesting because you're going to be killing pretty quickly and easily with the Railway Rifle typically. And getting some extra AP for doing so will help keep you running in VATS, but the Railway Rifle already has a pretty low AP cost, at least the automatic version, so it's kind of unnecessary in my opinion. And the plus 50 damage resistance while aiming, well, again, that doesn't synergize very well with the second star, or the first star for that matter, because the first star requires you to be using VATS to get those VATS critical hits. So overall, this one's a bit of a dud, but we did get a couple of at least decent ones. We got that Vampires and that Anti-Armor one, so, you know, we might try some of those out one of these days on a Weapon Spotlight video or something like that. And probably in the near future, I'll be doing some more weapon legendary crafting videos, possibly with some more railway rifles. I'm also looking at the idea of toying around with just fully automatic versions of the Enclave plasma rifles, just to see how they do in those situations, because it would be a lot easier to keep some ammo around for them than it is for the railway rifle, just because even with bandolier, you know, a few hundred rounds can weigh 10-15 pounds very easily, so that's problematic. Less so with the plasma cartridges. So, but anyway, I think that's going to go ahead and wrap things up for today. Please remember, if you enjoyed my content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and it doesn't cost any money. And until next time, thank you for watching.